Now, for more on Premier Lee's trip to Australia and New Zealand, Ralph Winnie joins me. He's the Director of Global Business Development and the Eurasian Business Coalition's China program. Always good to have you, Ralph.
Thank you, Rachelle. Glad to be with you.
Now, as we saw, there are lots of agreements spanning a wide range of industries and people-to-people exchanges throughout this visit. So what really stood out as the highlights to you from this New Zealand and Australia visit?
Well, I think the highlight certainly was Huawei's investment. Infrastructure, R&D are key to growing the relationship between New Zealand and China. What most people don't realize is that New Zealand has had a trade surplus with China since their agreement was signed in 2008. And this is key. It's much easier to sell international trade and investment opportunities when the locals can see the benefits. And this is why there is such strong positive support between New Zealand and China.
Now, obviously, trade was high on the agenda, especially when it came to upgrading the existing free trade agreements. Right. So what do you think were the most important achievements on the surface when it comes to trade?
I think recognizing that both China and Australia want to be one of China's largest trading partners in the Asia-Pacific region. Now that the U.S. is no longer engaged, as some people believe, Australia and New Zealand feel that the time is right now to take advantage of Chinese foreign direct investment to improve infrastructure, R&D capabilities, and to promote the strong people-to-people exchanges that are so important to promoting that personal relationship that leads to very productive business relationships in the future.
Now let's also look at the dynamic of all three countries. How do really closer ties between all three of them really enhance cooperation, especially with things like the AIIB and especially China's One Belt, One Road initiative?
Well, the Chinese are trying to take the lead to promote the One Belt, One Road initiative. New Zealand and Australia are exporting dairy products and woolen products to meet China's huge demand in their agricultural industry and animal husbandry products. And mining is also a big area. When I was in Guangxi province, when we go into the remote areas and they're developing the mining, the Australians have their whole footprint all over that. And the Australians now see a great opportunity in that area to really expand their partnership with China to provide mechanization and development to develop these mines. It's hard for people to understand, but in parts of China, everyone was doing the mining by hand, just with picks and shovels. There was no mechanization, and the Australians do see an opportunity to really penetrate in those areas and create new sectors of business opportunity.
Now, you touched on the idea of people-to-people exchanges. So a lot of times we see these high-level talks. A lot of people wonder, how does this actually affect everyday citizens from these three countries? How do you think this does play out for them?
It creates a positive impression of China in the minds of the people of Australia and New Zealand. The idea to promote increased communication through the study of Mandarin, through the imposition of Confucius institutes throughout the countries, like we have in the United States, so people can learn Chinese, they can understand Chinese history and culture. And when you develop that close personal relationship with your Chinese partner, it leads to very productive business. Because in order to be successful in business, you have to have implicit trust between you and your partner.
Now, technology and innovation also very high on the agenda and something that all three economies are really looking to really grow their economies. What sorts of collaborations do you think we could potentially see there?
Well, I think the fact that Huawei is in there improving the telecommunications and corporate communications will be key. You don't have issues of the Chinese menace like you had here in the US when Huawei was trying to get into the market. There, it's more of considered a very productive collaboration, and the idea is a win-win situation. I think the key is New Zealand and Australia have a trade surplus with China. The people of those countries see that, they see the benefits, so it's much easier to sell the benefits of engaging with China versus other countries like the United States, where we have a deficit and you have nationalist interests that are deeply concerned about what engagement with China really means. In Australia and New Zealand, there's a strong collaboration that's yielded positive results. With the free trade agreements, the fact that Li Keqiang could go and into countries that are very favorable because of the trade surplus, and see how you can grow and expand. And I think they recognize the products out of New Zealand and Australia, focused on woolen products and on dairy, to boost and grow the agricultural industry. I mean, in China, what most people don't realize is they had a problem with the pork. There was a disease, I think yellow ear, that was killing off the animals. So they were looking at Smithfield in the US, and then they went to New Zealand and Australia and said, please come, help us. We need to rebuild our pork industry.
So certainly lots of room for collaboration for all three economies. Well, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you, as always, Ralph Winnie, Director of Global Business Development and the Eurasian Business Coalition's China Program.